Guess who's back? Bubba G. And Bubba G is teaching Bible basics for all those who want to know, but especially those 10 and under, because you must learn. In the last video, we was talking about Daniel. Yes, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were some of the exiles who were taken to Babylon from Jerusalem. Remember? And in this video, we're going to continue to see what happened during that time. Where you at, Bubba G? I'm in chapter 3 of Daniel. But I'm going to break it down a little bit. So what happens next is the King Nebuchadnezzar, he decides to make this golden statue. And he tells everybody in the province, you need to bow down and worship this statue. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was like, no, we're not doing that. We don't bow down to no golden statues. We only serve God only. So, what happened? Some of the other people, they heard about it. They said, man, you know them people you picked? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's? They don't listen to the king. They don't bow down to the statue. What you gonna do about it? King Nebuchadnezzar says, it's true. They don't bow down to my statue. He said, he got hot, he got mad. So he asked them. Let's look what he said. Let's go. Chapter 3, verse 13. At that, the king flew into a rage and ordered the 3 men to be brought before him. He said to them, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, is it true that you refuse to worship my God and to bow down to the golden statue I have set up? Now then, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpets, oboes, I guess, lyres, zithers, harps, never heard of those instruments, and all the other instruments, bow down and worship the statue. Right now. I put that in there. If you don't, you will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace. You think there is any God who can save you? Verse 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered, Your Majesty, we will now try to defend ourselves. If the God whom we serve is able to save us from the blazing furnace and from the power, then he will. But even if he doesn't, Your Majesty may be sure that we will not worship your God. And we will not bow down to the golden statue that you set up. We're not doing it. They said this. If God want to do it, he'll save us. If he don't, we still ain't bowing down. They have faith. We ain't doing it. They knew better. God said, don't be bowing down to no statue. You know what happened with the gold one in the desert? Moses burned it up, made them drink it. Remember the golden calf? Same thing. Okay. So, verse 19. Then Nebuchadnezzar lost his temper, and his face turned red with anger at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So he ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than usual. And he commanded the strongest man in his army to tie the 3 men up, throw them into the blazing furnace. So they tied them up, fully dressed, shirts, robes, caps, and all, and threw them into the blazing furnace. Now, because the king had given strict orders for the furnace to be made extremely hot, the flames burned up the guards who took the men to the furnace. Wow. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, still tied up, fell into the heat of the blazing fire. Suddenly, Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement. He asked his officials, didn't we tie up 3 men and throw them into the blazing furnace? Yes, they answered. They answered, yes, we did, Your Majesty. Then why do I see 4 men walking in the fire? He asked, they are not tied up, and they show no signs of being hurt. And the 4th one looks like an angel. So Nebuchadnezzar went up to the door of the blazing furnace and called out, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the supreme God. Now look at him. Now he's talking about, now he's saying, your God is supreme. First he's like, do you have a God who's going to save you? He changed his mind. Come out, he said. And they came out at once. All the princes, governors, lieutenant governors, and other officials of the king gathered to look at the three men who had not been harmed by the fire. Their hair was not singed, their clothes were not burned, and there was no smell of smoke on them. The king said, praise the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel and rescued these men who serve and trust him. Did you hear that? Let's read that again. The king said, praise the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel and rescued these men. Rescued these men who serve and trust him. They disobeyed my orders and risked their lives rather than bow down and worship any god except their own. Lesson, lesson, lesson. And now I command that if anyone of any nation, race, or language speaks disrespectfully of the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he is to be thrown limb from limb, and his house is to be made a pile of ruins. There is no other God who can rescue like this. Wow. Nebuchadnezzar had an epiphany. It's an epiphany. He saw the light. Ding! Changed his mind. He said, no, we threw him in the fire. We threw him in the fire, turned it up 7 times hotter. We threw him in there. The guards died. It was so hot. We put him in the fire. They walking around like no problem. And then there's another guy in there. Where he come from? Verse 30. And the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to higher positions in the province of Babylon. So what do we see? We saw them thrown in the furnace and not get burnt. That's what we saw. Because he made a golden statue, Nebuchadnezzar. They said, we not going to bow down to your statue, king. Sorry. They threw him in. They didn't get burnt. Nebuchadnezzar said, your God is the supreme God. Yes. Yes. Yes.